Hey guys, it's Coach Gaglione. Here's another edition of our Gags Goals updates. If this is your first time stopping by, I'm Coach Gaglione. This is Gaglione Strength, and I've been involved with powerlifting and strength coaching for over 13 years. This is chronicling my weight loss journey, and for this brief stint of videos, it's a little bit of a bulking, a brief bulking period. For just a little context, so I've been as heavy as 340 pounds, lost over 100 pounds and kept it off. I've been as light as my lightest weigh-in this year was 208, which is a little bit of an outlier weigh-in, which I'll get into in a second. At the last contest I did an 800-pound squat at 198. So this is our pit stop to 242. And the reason I'm kind of going up in weight for this particular meet, it's a couple of different reasons. Number one, I wanted to have a mental and physical diet break. I wanted to put some muscle back on during this month period. And more importantly, as far as my bucket list goals are concerned, one of the things that I've been working towards is squatting 800 pounds or more in 6 different weight classes. I've squatted 900 at super heavyweight, squatted 850 at 308, squatted 805 at 275. My best at 242 currently in competition is 770. I did stand up with 800, but it was red lighted. I've done 800 at 220, and now most recently an 800 at 198, which I'm very proud of. So I got to get that 242 monkey off my back, and then my plan is to get back on the road to 198 once again and just start competing. Probably stay, in terms of powerlifting, I'll probably stay as a 198 or 220 lifter, as I found I just feel best weighing under 220. So I'll kind of actually get into that in a second, and I'll kind of recap the training. So I've been as heavy as 245 pounds during this bulking period, which is pretty excessive. So I'm not going to go over my outlier weigh-ins in November. I should say on Halloween was my lowest weigh-in of the year. It was 208 pounds. It was my best body fat percentage reading on the in-body. And since then, my heaviest weigh-in's been about 244 and change. And again, so according to in-body, 17 pounds of that. So there's a 37-pound difference in a pretty short period of time, in about like a 4 or 5 week period. I guess, more or less, probably like a 5 week period or so. So part of that is 17 pounds is just water. So it's just kind of pure bloat from just glycogen, sodium, water retention. But I will say that does make a difference in terms of strength, and I'll get into that in a second. 6 pounds I have read were muscle. So is that possible? Is that not? I'm not entirely sure. So one thing that I've known with the in-body is that the more hydrated you are, the more it reads your muscle mass. I will say, though, I haven't taken any actual hard measurements, but as far as equipment fitting tighter, my legs are definitely bigger. My arms are definitely bigger. So whether it is 6 pounds of true lean mass, I don't know, but it is up. And so like part of that, I'm sure it's just being full from glycogen and things like that, and part of it is just having a little bit of a better reading on the in-body. But I definitely put on some good size. So whatever is genetically possible and kind of biologically possible, I definitely probably, with all the food I've been eating and the amount of training I've been doing, I've been increasing the frequency of my training. I've been doing shorter workouts, but more frequent workouts. I've been pressing a little bit more often. And I've been taking advantage of the extra calories to kind of enhance recovery. And then the other bad part was, but still a lot of that was to my midsection, which is helping my squat. And then I've increased, so 17 pounds of water, 6 pounds of muscle, and about 13 pounds of fat. So that's not terrible, considering the muscle gain and considering a lot of its water weight. I'm not really happy with the 13 pounds of fat, but I would say on average, I probably gained more, like, even though there's a 37-pound difference, I'd say most of my walking around weight was 215. And most of my walking around weight right now is like 235, 240 in the morning. So those are the outlier weigh-ins, but I did want to share that with you guys because it is kind of funny because there has been some people that are like, oh, you look really good. And I'm like, I just gained like 30 pounds in like a month. So in my mind, I'm like feeling really fluffy. My joints are definitely hurting a little bit more from just not like used to carrying that weight. It was a very sudden gain in weight. So I'm not really feeling great day to day, to be honest. I'm looking forward to get back under 220 after this contest, but at the end of the day, mass moves mass, and I'm just trying to hit the strength goal, check that box off, and I'm going to kind of move forward. And I don't plan on competing in the 242 class anytime in the near future, and definitely I won't But I will say this has been a good learning experience that I think that if you can build into a weight class, this is the first time I've actually built into a weight class in quite some time. Over the past 3 years, I've been dieting down into these weight classes, and I feel really strong. So even without any true peaking plan, I basically just kind of held on to my peak from my last contest at 198 without having any real true programming or training cycle kind of built out. I feel really strong. So it really does go to show you having good sleep, being in a calorie surplus and putting weight on. It really does help. It really does. It's kind of like a cheat code. So I don't think that people should use this all the time. But if you do, if you're experiencing a plateau in terms of strength, and that's a goal for you, definitely like moving up a weight class, in a short time can definitely prove beneficial. But in terms of health, I don't think it's the best idea. I do think slow and steady is better. But if you're just trying to move a lot of weight, you could also see another good example of this is Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels put on 20 pounds in a very short period of time. And he was able to hit I believe, I could do the math, but I believe it was about a 50-pound subtotal. Do the math. So he went, so he went he put on 50 pounds on his subtotal from last meet. Yep, that's about right. So I could be off by a few pounds, but really, really big increase for him. And part of that was just improving his diet and just making sure he was bigger and he was filling out the 308 class. Now that he's going to have time to kind of stay at this body weight, I believe his deadlift's going to be better. His leverages are going to be more consistent. But it's just something, if you do want to have a quick increase in strength, definitely putting some size on, whether that be water, muscle, or fat, or some combination. And there is going to be a point of diminishing return, especially in terms of the deadlift. But I do believe, like I said, at the end of the day, mass moves mass. And again, so in terms of performance, it could definitely help. In terms of health, it's not the best route. So that's kind of why I did what I did. I did definitely. It also really goes to show you that I'm very good at putting mass on. That is not a problem for me. Putting tissue on is not a problem. I'm going to shoot a separate audio. So make sure you subscribe to our iTunes Powerlifting for the People or our podcast. I'm going to have a separate audio on like what I did to bulk because I basically gained 30 pounds in about 30 days, which is pretty good. So and a lot of that, like I said, 6 pounds. For every 2 pounds of fat, I gained about 1 pound of muscle. That's pretty good return on the investment. So it's not too dirty in the time frame. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go through the training now. My final heavy squat workout. I did this last meet, so I'm going to kind of probably continue to do this. It worked pretty well. We double choked our blue band, so I'm kind of estimating we probably had somewhere between 200 to 220 pounds of band tension. I worked up to 470 pounds with my spud briefs. So the fact that I was able to do, I would say that was probably close to 700 pounds at the top, the way it felt. And I was able to do that with just my training briefs and sleeves. So that felt really good, felt really strong on this day. I always find the bands really help my pick. So doing I double choked those blue bands, those strong bands, and that felt good. So worked up to 470 pounds, did some doubles working up. So I believe we just went 3 plates, 3 1/4, 4 plates, 4 1/4. So with that 60-pound squat bar, about 470 pounds of bar weight, plus about 200 to 220 pounds of band tension. A lot of people, just to put things in reference, we had like Nick, the Volkswagen Beetle. He was only able to work up to like a plate, a 1/4 and a 5, and he's so he had about 200 pounds of bar weight on there, and he's like close to a 600 pounds equipped squatter. So the band tension was pretty gnarly. So that was fun. I've been doing more like a subtotal Sunday kind of deal. Like I mentioned before, I've been increasing my bench frequency just to kind of, I've been very, very conservative with my raw training. I haven't done anything past 185, but I've been slowly just doing a linear progression while my shoulder is healing up. And as I mentioned before, I've been having a lot of success with the bench freak band shirt since it's not affecting my injury. It's just laying across my tricep as opposed to the delt like the Phenom does. So the bench freak shirt has been really good. I think also part of that is being 30 pounds heavier. Definitely helps as well. So the bench and body weight, I feel like go hand in hand, probably more so than any other lift. It definitely has helped the squat as well. But again, there's a point of diminishing return. Sometimes you can't, I know when I was a super heavyweight, I had to actually use minimal equipment because I was having trouble hitting depth as a super heavyweight. But as far as in terms of my bench press, I don't think there was really any ever negative consequences in terms of gaining weight from a performance standpoint, certainly from a health standpoint, certainly from a mobility standpoint. But I think the deadlift is probably the first to go in terms of point of diminishing return, as far as there's going to be a certain point where gaining weight is going to really impede your lockout, impede your starting position for the deadlift. In terms of the squat, that's probably the second to go, whereas at some point it's going to be hard to hit depth, especially if you're a multiply lifter. If If you're a raw lifter, and especially a sleeve lifter, maybe not so much. But definitely as a multiply lifter, there's definitely a point of diminishing return in terms of gaining weight for your squat. When I squatted 900 pounds, I didn't wear any briefs. I just wore the suit only. When I squatted 850 at 308, I just wore briefs only, which is it's still kind of mind-blowing that I was able to do that. And in training, I was able to squat 880 in just briefs. So I was very, very strong at that point. But I'm still decently strong now, but I'm definitely more of a technical lifter. And I was definitely more bull strong kind of back in the day. So just some food for thought. In terms of the bench press, I think that I think it's the heavier you are, I think it's just going to just always help your bench because you're going to improve your leverages and it's not as much mobility demands. Obviously, an arch can help, but obviously getting thicker will also cut down your range of motion just as much, if not even better. So in terms of the bench freak shirt, I've been doing really well with that. Was able to, I worked up to, I want to say 365 or maybe even 385 for my last warm-up. I did 375 for my last warm-up, and then I did 405. 405 was actually hard to touch, but I was able to, so that felt pretty good. 430 actually felt the best, and that's the most that I've done probably in well over a year. So the last time I did that was during my prep for Slingshot record breakers of last year, so that was a really good, nice increase. I'm still not at my best, but because my best bench at 242 is 490, and I did it pretty handily. But the fact I was able to move 430 handily in training, and I've been dealing with this shoulder injury. For reference, I missed 375 three times because of my shoulder issues at my last contest. So that I'm really happy that my bench is back over 400 consistently. Then I was able to do 455 to one board, a little bit of a shaky lockout, but I think I just kind of lost control there a little bit, but it locked out good. And then I did 495 to a two board for some overload. And then we did a long hold with that, and that felt good as well. So lockout's much better. I'm having a lot more stability. Really having a lot of success with this bench freak shirt. I will probably continue to use the bench freak shirt as long as I'm having shoulder issues, and once maybe my shoulder is back to 100%, then I'll probably switch back to the Phenom, but for the time being, this is going to be my bench shirt of choice. It's only allowed in the XPC, only allowed in Metal Militia federations to my knowledge. So at this time, I'll probably, if I'm going to do a full meet, I'll probably have to do a Metal Militia meet or an XPC meet if I end up qualifying for an XPC event. So that's kind of my plan in terms of benching, also long term. But again, I don't know. We'll get into my goals and meet plan for a second. But after this meet, I probably am going to take a little bit of a longer hiatus for a full meet anyway. But that's kind of my just general thoughts on the bench shirt and how my shoulder's healing up. In terms of the deadlift, I wanted to get in my suit one more time just because my leverages are different, being 30 pounds heavier. Still wearing the classic canvas suit for this, but just without any briefs underneath, and it feels really good. As I mentioned numerous times before, my best deadlift ever in the gym was 700. I was able to pick up 700 successfully in a contest, but I only got one white light. And my best all-time deadlift that counted in a contest is 660 with the canvas as well. So all my best deadlifts in competition in the gym have been in the canvas. So I've been pretty familiar with using the suit. It felt pretty good. Felt my starting position was improved from the last time I was in the suit. I did the deadlift against the blue bands. I used 405, 455, and then 495 for my final single against blue bands. So I felt pretty good. For my final workout, it was this past Sunday. I just worked up to my last warm-up of 365 in the bench freak band. Felt pretty good. And then I did a 405 hold just to kind of get a little more shoulder stability. And then just to get some practice, so I had Elvis practice wrapping my knees. I worked up to 635 for a set of 5, and then a drop set of 545. So I did 635 and 545 for a set of 5 with some knee wraps on the belt squat just to kind of unload my spine, get a little practice having Elvis wrap my knees, and also just get a little bit just extra leg work. I'm going to take the rest of the week off, and then we're going to kind of go into the contest. In terms of the contest, number one goal is to hit an 800-pound squat. So I'm going to do that on my second attempt. Anything after that is gravy, but I'm still going to do the full meet. So anything besides that will be a bonus, but my plan for the squat is to go open at 740, go right to 800, just check that box off. Depending on how that moves, I'll probably take somewhere between 830 and 865. If things feel really good, I might go upwards of 880. I don't think I'll go to 900, although I really do want to. I'd like to do 900. This is one of our former interns, Louis Band, just hit a 905 squat, and it's making me want to try it really bad, and I feel like I could do it. But I'm probably be smart, and I'll probably top out at 865. So congrats to him. He did a great effort, and I know he's been working toward that for a while. It'd be nice to get 9 bills on my back again, but I'll probably wait till another time for that. Save that squat for another day. So I want to hit 800 on my second attempt, and that's going to be the number one goal for this meet. I'm going to, since 430 moved the best, I'll probably open with like a 415 bench, depending on how I feel. But that's kind of going to be my initial starting point. Then I'll probably take somewhere between 430 and 445 for my second, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 460 to 475. Based on how the 495 moved, I believe that 460 to 475 is in the cards, and I think that my shoulder will still be safe. Again, since I'm not cutting, I'm not having to worry about filling the shirt out. It's going to be a little bit. The bench should be a little bit more predictable. In terms of the deadlift, I'm electing to open lighter, just because it's going to be an interesting meet. I'm a little bit heavier, so my conditioning is not as good. So I just want to open a little bit lighter. I'm going to go to 555 on my opener, 600 on my second, and depending on what I need to total, a PR total, or to hit my goal, that will really dictate what my third attempt is. But it's probably going to be somewhere between 625 and 645. 645 would be a 5-pound PR at this weight. So anything above 640 would be a PR at 242. Anything above 1900 in the total would also be a PR at 242. I do believe if I hit my third squat, I could hit an all-time total PR. As I've mentioned before, I haven't really put all my best lifts together. So all my best lifts would be like well over like in the 2100 range. But my best total officially is 1950. So if I could total anything above 1950, I'd be very happy with that. And anything above 1910 would also get me on the record board at our gym. So 1950 would be like stars aligning day. I'd feel really confident. I do believe, with time and effort, I still want to work toward that 2000 number, but I need to get my shoulder healthy in order for that to happen. I do believe that the strength is there, but I need to be healthy in order for that to happen. So anything above 1950, I'd be ecstatic. But number one goal is to hit an 800-pound squat in my 6th weight class, because I do believe that there's very few individuals that have done that, and it's just a goal that means something to me, and I think that's important. After that, like I mentioned before, I just want to work towards getting healthier, getting the weight off. I'm just going to shift gears a little bit. I probably will not compete at least for another year in a full competition. I might do like a deadlift only meet, as projected maybe in February. And then I want to just get my body fat down to as low as possible, so I can kind of build into the 198 class. So that's kind of my goals moving forward. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Bench and Benny do a full meet. I think he's going to do fantastic. It always makes me proud to see my training partners, my friends, and like Benny is our coach here, do really well. And I think he's going to have a stellar day. He looks really good, and I'm excited just to have some fun. This is kind of like one of the first like low pressure meets I've had in a while. I had to put a lot of pressure on myself to hit that 800-pound squat at 198. So I feel really good. I'm not really too nervous. Just gonna have fun. Gonna have fun in Lake George. So there's gonna be like strobe lights. It's gonna be some big lifts. I heard Kurt Kowalski is going. So maybe I'll be a little nervous if he's watching me, because he'll probably scrutinize my squat depth or something like that. But you gotta like get a good squat in front of the captain, right? So. And if you guys aren't familiar with Captain Kirk, definitely look up his 1,000-pound double. Probably one of the most epic, squat workouts that you could find on the internet. And he's also in a good way certifiably insane. So check out Power Unlimited. Check out Kirk Kowalski if you want some powerlifting motivation. He's one of the legends of the game. One of the first guys to squat 1,000. World record. He was a former world record holder in the IPF, so apparently he's going to be at the meet. So it's going to be a fun time. I'm excited. I know Coach Kenna Smoke's going to be competing as well, and it'll be her first meet back since the XPC finals this past March. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be sad for me to the bulking, the fat John, the chubby John's, I think, going to be gone for good. So you guys could say goodbye. You guys could say goodbye to him, because I'm getting shredded after this. I'm committing to the diet, committing to being strong and lean, and I'm going to be committing back on the road to 198. So that means I may even need to sacrifice some of Mom's rainbow cookies during Christmas, but that's what we got to do, because I want to get abs for Christmas. So. At least maybe by next year. Maybe by next year's Christmas, I'll put a special note for Santa for 2020. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate watching this pit stop to 242. The road to 198 will be back very soon, so stay tuned. If you guys want to support the channel, please subscribe. Please check out the links below if you want to support in person or any of your programs, get some coaching. Every little bit helps help provide more revenue so we can kind of create more great content for you guys. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.